Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. You guys know her. You guys love her. Aimee Wilmoth, our amazing executive weather producer and also amazing meteorologist as well. When she says she has an idea, when she's been doing some research, you sit down and listen. Aimee, what type of research have you done? What have you discovered that you want to share?
Well, I was just thinking the other day about how I haven't been in the storm tracker this month, which is odd. It's April, and we typically get severe weather. Then I went back and looked back at the database of severe weather storm reports, and it's fascinating what I found. We've only had 3 in the state of North Carolina this month.
Wow. Okay.
Period. We had a flood report in the northern part of our mountains early this month. We had 2 wind damage reports, 1 in our northeastern counties and 1 toward the coast. And that's it, which is weird for April.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I went the Storm Prediction Center. They're based out of Oklahoma, but they keep this database of storm reports, and it goes all the way back to 1950. So I just decided to have fun and go back all the way to 1950 and see how this compares. This year compares to years past. And when you go back in the last 20 years, the average storm reports for North Carolina in the month of April is 95.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, okay. I was not ready for that
And
number.
we've only had 3.
I was not ready for that number.
Yeah. So I know everyone knows we're in a drought at this point. We're in a severe drought. And, you know, we're not only in the rain drought, but, you know, it's kind of obvious that we're in a severe weather drought. It's just been interesting, that high pressure that's been kind of sitting over the southeastern part of the country. It's kept the systems away, which means we haven't had to deal with severe weather, which, you know, is kind of a bonus. I know we need the rain, but at least we haven't really had to deal with severe weather.
You know, less property damage, no one being injured. It's all good things that we want to hear about. So is there a correlation between the high pressure system, the drought, and the high pressure system keeping those storms out? Is there a correlation?
Yeah. So high pressure that brings sinking air, which is a very stable atmosphere. And systems tend to go around a high pressure system. So we always talk about how that high can act as a blocking wall.
Okay.
So you have this high pressure system over the eastern, southeastern part of the country, and it puts up that wall. And so the storms cannot get here. They just can't make it to our area. They go around the high pressure system. So, yeah, so 3 reports so far. And it's, if you go back farther, so let's talk some more numbers. Prior to 1960, so long time ago, we averaged 2 severe weather reports. 1961 to now, we averaged 4 storm reports. So the more farther along you go in the timeline, the closer you get to 2026, it seems like the higher our average becomes. And when I was doing looking at the data, I really noticed that once I got past 1980, like 1980 to 1950, the numbers were really low. Like there were several years with 0, which was interesting. And so I got to thinking, well, modern radar technology really didn't start.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Until the late 1980s, and that's when we could use radar to measure wind velocities. So prior to that, we relied on people. We relied on humans to give us those damage reports, emergency management, meteorologists, just your regular people out and about. So you can imagine those areas that have very low population, we weren't really getting a good idea of how much severe weather they were getting. But, you know, once we got to the modern radar, we could actually use radar and get that data and add to our storm reports based on radar data alone. So that kind of explains why we have more reports as well. Once we started using modern radar, that kind of helped us get a clearer picture of how much severe weather we were getting in North Carolina. So I think, you know, looking back over the last 20 years, it's probably a good way to look at the average. You know, and like I said, that's 95, a lot higher than 3.
These numbers, they're digesting. Thank you so much for doing that research. I was not prepared for that number of 95 down to 3. Significant change. We all know that the weather patterns are changing. I wanted to take a couple steps back, and I wanted to say, explain this for the audience, but really explain this for myself. How can we bust this high pressure system? How do they dissolve? Do they go anywhere?
So sometimes, especially in the summer month, we get what we call a Bermuda high, and that's a pretty stagnant pattern, a pretty stubborn pattern, where you have a high really in between Bermuda and the United States.
Okay.
And sometimes it can shift, like to the east, to the west, and that opens the door to, some systems to make their way into our area. But we're starting to get closer to the summer months. So it's really a tropical system that could really help us out. That high pressure system weakens and allows some tropical moisture to get in.
I get it.
Sometimes we get what we call a cutoff low pressure system, a low that gets cut off from the main branch of the jet stream. And the jet stream, it's winds way up in the atmosphere that really steer the storm systems across the country. And sometimes a low can break off of that, and so it's stuck. There's nothing to move it along. And so sometimes we can get one of those cutoff lows develop close to our area, and that could bring us some good rain. So I think that's something that we really need to break the drought, but we also need the high pressure system to break down to get severe weather, which obviously we don't want. But yeah, there are a couple of ways to kind of break down that high and get some rain to the area.
Definitely a double-edged sword when you're looking at it. Like, we need the rain, but also no wind damage on homes. Very, very beneficial as well. All right. So what else? Is there anything else that you found in this research that the people should know about?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. We have the chance for some severe weather later this week. We're doing this late April. I got to think that this pattern is going to change soon. It can't last forever. So yeah, we're always monitoring the severe weather threats and passing that along to our viewers. That's pretty much it. I just found that kind of interesting, that the lack of severe weather in the month of April. It's been kind of crazy.
Our storm tracker is lonely. He has been at the mechanic.
I know.
And he's like, I want to get to work.
The only thing it's been going out to are school talks that I've been taking it to. Other than that, it's just been sitting here.
And you're so amazing at those. The kids love it. I can just imagine the joy when they see that big old truck come on down.
They do love storm tracker.
Absolutely. Well, Aimee, thank you so much. Where can people find your reporting? Where can people find you online?
Well, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Those are probably the best spots that you can find me. I'm writing articles occasionally for our website. We're on top of all things weather in our department.
We always appreciate it. And you guys can always catch her on the weather section of WRAL.com. Aimee, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.